We did all of these back to back.
Yep.
This is video part 4 of the Cyclops, and we're going to make the Minotaur character. We wanted a kind of a character to complement the Cyclops, and we're going to use him to think of him as like, since he's kind of burly, and his music is strong and burly like that. Like he thinks everything is really heroic, and in my mind, but I'm imagining him just gathering rocks. Is like, you know, he can't quite break the mold of the warrior doing the task,
right.
but he's trying to.
Right.
And so he's got a similar storyline to the Cyclops. He's just not as far along. Kind of imagine him as the character that the Cyclops can mentor himself, right? But he also wants to be an artist, and his best abilities in my mind is that he is the workhorse. So I made music to kind of vibe off of that. And Kyle made the sketch. Stick around, you're gonna watch him, learn from him, watch me, learn from me. Have fun. Hi.
Hi.
My chair's creaky.
Yeah, that happens.
Squeaky, squeaky. This is video 4. We're gonna work on the Minotaur. And I call him Mino because I think it's hilarious to call him a tiny fish.
It's incongruous.
So, you keep busting out big words. You're in a weird mood.
I am so strange.
I love it. So, we're at the Minotaur now, my brother. What was the inspiration for this?
So, the inspiration for the Minotaur weirdly comes a lot from Batman.
That's cool.
In his attitude and also his execution, because there is an old Batman episode where the Riddler sets up this giant maze, and at the middle of the maze is like this big golden Minotaur robot. Because the maze is based off of, I think it's in the Odyssey. Where
yes.
He goes in, whatever, in the labyrinth, and there's like a Minotaur.
Yep.
Yeah. So the Minotaur, kind of like that beefy, ancient, heroic thing, was visually inspired, obviously, by Greek vases. Ding, 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 ding. By this episode, or by that episode of Batman, and then also there's a really like youthish. I don't want to say like juvenile because like I still watched it. A youthful version of Batman in it's more of a kid-friendly way of viewing him from like the golden age. And in that cartoon, Aquaman is like this. He loves adventure, and he's this big heroic-looking guy with this booming voice, and he absolutely loves adventure and loves telling just outrageous tales, which is funny, that's what he always says, outrageous, but outrageous tales of like adventure and stuff like that. And so that's just kind of like the persona that also helped me kind of craft this character.
Buff, chest always out.
Oh yeah, beefy.
Yeah, raw. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So now your toolbox is pretty established at this point, and
Right.
then execution. Was there anything about making the form of this? I figured since this is like right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, just that heroic build kind of, is almost second nature to me, but also trying to stylize it in the specific parameters that I created for this universe. And that was kind of just, the nuts and bolts of what made him slightly different, but at the same time, I'm trying to create from the same palette. So most of the stuff I did in this is going to be pretty much the same.
Cool. So at this point, we're in that part of it, which means we don't have to make these things painfully long for no good reason.
Right.
At this point in time, the project's kind of established, and we would just start cranking out
Yeah,
scenes.
you get it, we get it,
Yeah,
y'all get it.
picking out voice actors, getting the Hasbro deals made, getting the little toys and the trinkets for the kids.
For the kids.
So you get the idea. We're moving on to the music.
A John.
Yeet.
So yeah, what was your inspiration for this character?
Your art,
Thank you.
first and foremost.
Oh, thank you.
And I wanted to give him like since everything's kind of playful,
Right.
it starts with a recorder sound. It's kind of like wispy.
Yeah.
But then it also is trying to have that false vibrato element to it, which is why I picked it, like it's proud for no good reason. You're like, boy, I said, now, boy, what's your problem here? You're all walking around with your chest puffed out and you're 2.5 feet tall. Some foghorn, leghorn. But so that's, it has that recorder thing going on there. And then there has some horns and everything like that to give him that, because he is special. He is cool. He may not be exactly what he thinks that he is, but he's totally capable of being that. He's just not been placed in that world, which is what I find that a lot of us are. Wow, that was kind of meta. But anyways.
That got really deep.
On accident.
You set me into like a vortex. Like I'm trying to claw back to reality.
Yeah, we'll revisit that later. So anyways, that's a good idea for some IP stuff. Anyways. So go on. Let's talk about the toolkit and all that stuff. Yeah.
So for him, obviously you said recorder. What other instruments did you pull out of your toolkit? So it is very much based on a horn ensemble. I mean, a lot of this is based on a horn ensemble. And so it's got the tubas, it's got the trombones, it's got the French horns already baked into the notes that you make, right? And then it's pretty cool how that works with a virtual instrument, and the different parts of the keyboard activate those. And if all the instruments can play, for instance, C2, it'll play the instruments that can play the C note that's in the second octave. And then it just knows so eventually the tubas stop because it can't play that high. And you know what I'm saying? Tubas. And eventually it's only, the trumpets going up to a certain point or the So it's pretty neat. And so you can sit there and very easily create a giant horn sound. Like really full.
Yeah. And so I use that preset, which pretty much handled a lot for me. So there's a lot of horns in there. And I wanted to give it a very like Aaron Copland type of a thing. He does the fanfare for the common man.
Oh, okay. I don't know who that is.
Ba, 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 da, da.
Yeah.
And that you hear that kind of a rhythm and that kind of a tone that I wanted to go for this. It's totally on purpose. And I'm totally trying to do like a call to him on this. He did, I think, we need a wiki fact check me on this. He did the Beef It's What's for Dinner music. Now, when I say that, is he didn't do that for that. They used
the deal. I want it to be true, so let's just say that it is.
But I'm pretty sure he's the composer that they used and borrowed from to do was his style. It was a very contemporary Western thing. He likes the frontier sounds.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yes, and so I wanted to give it a little bit of that as a tip of the hat towards, because I like a lot of the Aaron Copland stuff. I don't know it by name, but I listen to the playlist.
Yeah.
I love it. I've always have. So I gave it that ba 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 kind of a vibe to it, very triumphant to fit his chest polka dot and everything. And then to fit into the execution and how that all worked was I had to really work with, like, I'm not really doing a chord progression. I'm kind of just technically doing a variation of the C. Like I pretty much play like the regular C major most of the time. I know it's kind of bland and that hurts a lot of people's feelings when I say that on that keyboard. And maybe eventually I'll start exploring keys, but I don't know. It just works. It's easy. It's easy to think about. I'm not that great of a keyboard player or, at orchestrating anything. So I just put it in that key. And anyways, so I play that, and I might do some variations, but just kind of floating between the notes C and F, and then I use that to support itself in different ways. And then you hear the percussion in the background. I have cymbals and a timpani and some snare because I wanted to give him a slight militaristic vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, without being overly combative.
Right.
I wanted to have that element of him supported in the way that you hear the marching drums.
Right.
Kind of with him to give him that, he's tough. He's rugged. He's built for tough. So anyways, there's that. Now we're going to cut to us in the room. Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
I don't know.
We're tying a nice bow on this project right now. Like we always do, we put a bookmark in the IP. It's not the death of the IP. Maybe it is. Who knows? We let you guys decide that later. When we start advertising this and really sharing this, you'll give us feedback on which ones you like better, and then we'll start revisiting some of those appropriately. Mm-hmm. So with this, we're putting a bookmark in it. We got 4 pretty cool characters. We got a nice little narrative and character world built into this. We don't know if we would see this in a movie or a TV series, like episodic TV series. This might be best as a movie and kind of having a one shot at the thing, and eventually he grows and expands and then comes back and gains respect from his Cyclops clan for what he was able to do that's not typical to the Cyclops. And they finally see it by the end of the movie. It's like he's built this, for lack of a better term, artistic empire, right? And then he comes back with it and they realize, wow, he is wealthy and powerful and influential and makes a good name for his community, even though it's something that's unorthodox. And that's kind of what the whole vein of this is that we wanted to put out. And so that's what we would see, and that might be best for a movie than instead of an episodic thing or a short, you know. Maybe these end up as shorts until they become something. Step at a time. You get the idea. We're putting a bookmark in it. Kyle, is there anything you want to add to the mystique or the world or the majesty that is the Cyclops?
No, I do. But as we're leaving in this one, I do want to defend myself just a little bit because you threw me under the bus and said
I
didn't like this.
You deserve to.
I don't. It's not that I don't like it. It's that, like, I don't know, the mood that I was in while creating it wasn't necessarily the most, like, I guess, similar vibe. So, yeah, I don't know. I had to try harder. Then it wasn't as natural. But what I will say about this is a lot of these things we're doing, too, in my head, it's just concepts that I'm able to pull out in the short amount of time I have during the week. And this one, I think, as far as the narrative goes, I do really like the idea of the narrative that we've kind of like brainstormed.
Yeah.
And so if it is something that we would have to revisit, I might tweak the art here and there just a little bit, like whatever. But I do think that the narrative in this one is kind of cool.
Yeah, I agree. I like it. I'm glad you like it. And
I don't hate it.
Let's be real here too. The winter is kind of beating us up a little bit, man. We both work. He works 2 jobs. I still work a 1 full-time job, and I got kids, and he's got his own life. And we're just humans. We get tired and beat up. And maybe you were in that kind of a headspace when you're doing this, because Lord knows I've been there recently. So, hey, you know why am I doing that? I'm making us relatable and real over here.
Yeah, we're
you know
real
what I'm
people.
saying?
We're just real guys like you guys.
We're as real as an authentic Philly cheesesteak. You know, we're just like you said. We put our pants on 1 leg at a time. Yeah, we put our socks on 1 foot at a time. Anyways, you guys know, Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, IPs, vlogs that are random and make no sense, and then the chat casts. Please come back. Please like and subscribe. Don't be whack.